Namaskar. This video is dedicated to the youth and parents on a very important topic of how to work in this world. And I've learned something from watching the videos of Swami Chinmayanand, Swami Sarvapriyananda, and a lot of other lectures of Bhagavad Gita. And then this question keeps coming to my mind. When I was very young, even I used to have a lot of desires to earn a lot of money, desires being attracted to the opposite sex, desires to be very rich, desires to be very powerful. And a lot of times there's a lot of confusion in the mind as to, are these desires good or bad? Are we supposed to listen to these desires and do what we are doing? Or how does a person actually convert these desires in the right manner? And there are a lot of mixed inputs that we keep receiving from lot of lectures, a lot of spiritual gurus. For example, we listen to Osho and he says something, and then we listen to Sadhguru, he says something. And then how does one person actually answer these questions, and how are you supposed to work righteously in the right way, where you feel satisfied, fulfilled, and live a meaningful life? So this whole session is about understanding it through Bhagavad Gita. And I have taken very important verses, that is chapter 2 and verses 62 and 63, where Lord Krishna is explaining this to Arjuna, and is a beautiful, in these verses, it is also called the ladder of fall. And I just recently saw this video of Swami Chinmayananda, and I thought it is important for me to convey this message and my obeisance to Swami Guru Chinmayananda ji, who has so beautifully explained this in that video. And I am attempting to try and make it more attractive and understandable to the youth, young people and the parents who are in the domain where they have to take decisions and they have to enter into the realm of world of work and work in their life. So I think there's a lot of takeaways from the Bhagavad Gita and our Indian scriptures that must be passed down to the generations. And this is my sincere attempt to do that. So if you look at these two paragraphs, 62 and 63, and I will just recite it here. Dhyayato vishayam pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodo bhijayate क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. What it beautifully brings out is that every one of us has got desires, and these desires are something that is kind of given to us by, there's an argument, one thought, food for thought, is that God only has created us, and we have this body, we have these senses, and we are getting attracted to something, so we should use it. If I like something, I should go and possess that. I should go and put an effort to get that, isn't it? That is the normal course of action that most of us do. All of us are going through life and we get attracted to something and we put our action and energy towards it, and that is the normal process of a human being. But let us understand what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna here, and says, why is it important to have a control over our sense organs? So this whole two paragraphs are about that. And it brings out something called a fall, or a ladder of fall in 8 steps. How, if you only follow your sense organs, okay, which is not only true for youngsters, it is also true for everyone. Because I do see a lot of people where we are reveling into the material world, we are enjoying our life, supposed to be, having a beautiful life where we are going for parties, we are drinking, we are making merry, and we justify to ourselves saying that this is what I'm supposed to do because God has given me this and I'm supposed to enjoy that. Let us understand what Lord Krishna says and what it means. So it says dhyayato vishayam pumsaha. That means if I'm paying attention, or I'm contemplating, or I'm thinking about vishayas, objects, sense objects. So whenever I'm contemplating on sense objects or I'm getting attracted to sense object or thinking about it, starts with a basic thought. I like something. So it comes in my mind first. So I'm thinking, I like this. I like that person. I like the face of that person. Or I like this food. Or I like that particular dish. Or that smell is very nice. Or I'm hearing something very beautiful. Or I'm feeling something very nice. All these sense organs are getting attracted to the sense objects, and it starts with a thought, and that thought is the starting point. So the first step is the first thought that enters inside. That's the seed. This thought leads to something called attachment. That means it's sangha teshu pujayate. So this thought leads to attachment. So I get attached to that object. So if I keep thinking about an object, so it is not one thought, that thought comes again and again and again. So one picture comes in my mind, or I kind of figure out something that I like, and it keeps repeating in my mind. So that thought slowly gets converted into an attachment. That is sangha teshu pujayate. So this attachment has developed out of a thought. Now it says sangat sanjayate kamaha. If I'm attached to something, automatically what happens is I develop a desire to possess that object. It could be another person. It could be some dish that I love to eat. It could be a house that I want to own. It could be a car that I want to own. It could be anything. But then the desire gets formed. And this desire is called kamaha. And kamaha is desire to possess, is also called lust. Lust is not just sexual, but it is also meant for any kind of a strong desire for material objects. So this is the kama. The word kama indicates lust or a very strong desire to possess. And moment you have a very strong desire to possess, interestingly, Swami Chinmayanand brings out that, normally in life, if you notice, if you have a lust for something, the probability is that you have only 1% chance to get that. 99% probability is that you're not going to get it. So what happens is, that means this is normal what we see in life. That means, you want something very badly and somebody else gets it. So what happens is, when you are very badly wanting something and you find somebody else getting it, it leads to krodha. And krodha here is not just anger, it is extreme anger. So here it says that moment you develop this kind of a possessiveness for an object and you have very strong desire, it leads to a very high level or high degree of anger. So krodha bijayate. So moment anger comes, and this high degree of anger, extreme anger, when it comes, krodhat bhavati sammoha. It leads to a kind of a delusion, or a kind of a thing, that your basic rule of judgment, or how you judge or you discriminate between right and wrong, it gets clouded completely. So your judgment gets clouded. Sammoha, that means your ability to judge something, which is the basic intelligence that a human being has, which differentiates us from animals, is that we are able to discriminate between something that is right and wrong. But when you get very angry, you will not see what is around you. Sometimes we see that reaction that come to us when we get very angry. So this is what happens. So how you see how beautifully it is brought out, that it starts with a basic thought, and that thought repeats itself till it becomes an attachment. That attachment leads to desire, which is a lust. And that desire, lust, when you don't possess that object which you are lusting for, leads to anger. Okay, and this anger leads to complete loss of judgment. And then this loss of judgment actually completely removes your memory. So sammohat smriti vibhramaha, it destroys the memory, or it confuses your memory. Your memory, that means you don't see who's around you. You may start shouting, or you may react. And Swami Chinmayanand brings out very beautifully that the first murder that happens in the life and world, anyone doing a first murder, generally, if you notice, it will be because of anger. Because that anger is uncontrollable, and that person just commits it. And at that point in time, your mind is not working properly, your memory is lost, everything is lost, and that's the nature of that wild anger that a person has. And we know what we are talking about. This is the kind of road rage that you see happening around, the rage that you have seen so many cases happening nowadays. This is what is being described in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explaining to Arjuna. And this anger, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshad buddhi nasho. This loss of memory destroys your buddhi or intelligence. Intelligence is the thing that is the power of discrimination, the power, the knowledge or the memory that we have, the wisdom that we have because of the memory that we have. That means whatever we experience in our life, it gives us that memory, and that memory gives us the wisdom to take correct action in life. But when we are angry, we lose that intelligence. And once that intelligence is lost, it's complete destruction. Because the only differentiator between a human being and an animal is your intelligence. Animals also have emotions. Animals also have desires. They have feelings. They take action. The difference is a human being has got the intelligent thought to discriminate and to think about what he's thinking, which an animal doesn't have. Therefore, it says that if you reach that state where your buddhi becomes, is destroyed, or buddhi is not working, it's a complete destruction of a human being. And that is why, according to the Bhagavad Gita, it is very, very important that when that sensual thought comes to your mind, at that point itself, this energy needs to be diverted. If you do not do it, once the thought converts into a desire and desire converts into attachment and a desire, and a lust is created, it is impossible to control that action after that. Because the drop of water falling from a mountain, it slowly starts joining with other water droplets and it becomes a brooklet becomes a brook, and then it becomes a river, which is very, very torrentious and powerful. And once the river is, it has become a river and it is torrential and powerful, it is impossible to control it. And therefore, and that is the power of Maya, that is the power of a human being and his capability of doing things in this world. And therefore, it is very, very critical that we learn that at the thought stage itself, we have to take some action. And that's the big learning from this here, that when we are talking about working in this world and we are talking about desires that we develop in our mind about certain things, what is very important is how do you convert this thought into an energy which is more creative and not destructive. Whatever is brought out here in these two paragraphs is about destructive energy. Because when you start following the senses, it is like those 5 horses which are running astray. You've seen in Bhagavad Gita, in the main picture of Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 horses and Krishna is holding the reins. Just imagine these 5 horses are 5 senses and they are running astray. And that is what we are talking about here. But the moment we are able to control these senses and give a direction to that energy, how do you give a direction? For the youth, see, we are not going to say that desires are not supposed to be there. Desires are there. We want something. We are aspiring to become great. We are aspiring to become rich. We are aspiring to become powerful. There's nothing wrong in that. But what happens is, if we start converting these desires into a creative energy, where we think about doing something which is going to help someone, which is going to impact someone. It could be a feeling of attraction towards another person. But then when you divert this energy to do something good for that person, to bring some positivity into their life, to do something which is impactful to the other person, because you like them, because you love them, automatically this energy takes a creative form. So I think what we are talking about is that instead of going with the senses and doing whatever gives you only pleasure, that of course pleasure is going to come because you like something, but that pleasure is not sufficient, because if you go in the direction of only pleasure, you are going to go down the path of destruction. If you convert that pleasure into contribution, into impact, into something which is going to benefit somebody, benefit the world, benefit the environment. So there are 3 things. One, I should like what I'm doing, definitely. Therefore I'm attracted to something, so I know where I'm inclined to move. So in case of Arjuna was a warrior and he liked being powerful and fighting. So he will fight. But then it is not just because he likes fighting he goes and fights. There is a purpose. He fights for dharma. That means there is a cause, there is a purpose for which he is fighting. Because of his fight, he is going to impact something positively. He is going to remove certain elements which are destroying or contaminating the environment. So therefore he is improving the environment. He is benefiting somebody. He is benefiting the world. Similarly, when we are working in the world, we have to look at how are we going to do something that I like to do, but at the same time, which is benefiting people around, which is benefiting the environment around. So the purpose need not be something very large. Purpose can be very small, but we have to divert that energy in that thought. So why am I saying this? Because the thought is the seed. If the thought injected inside is that, yes, I like doing this, I'm very attracted to this, but how can I add value to it? How can I add something that is going to make this very good for the world, very good for the people around? What will happen is not only will you enjoy doing what you're doing, but you will also create value for the world. You will also have a very meaningful life. You will have a purposeful life. I think that is the message that the Bhagavad Gita is trying to give, and which can be used by the youth as well as the parents when we are taking decisions to work in this world, when we are taking decisions to choose a particular career path. It is very important to understand that career path is not just about what a person likes to do alone. Yes, that is important, but more important is whatever you like to do, how are you going to convert that into a creative energy? What is the career design that is going to enable you to add value, add impact to the world and the people around? So I think that's the message that I am attempting to pass on to the youth here. So whenever you decide to take anything, any decision in your life regarding working in this world, it is a long-term decision. And in that long-term decision, while at the core, you have to align yourself to a direction which is according to your inclination, but also add this thought of converting it into a creative energy where you're going to create something valuable, not only for the people around, but also for the environment. So if you keep these three things in mind, one is I like to do it, I love to do this kind of work, I enjoy doing this, I'm attracted to it. Second is it is going to benefit the people around. Third is it is going to benefit the environment around. I think three simple points that I want to transmit through this message to the youth and to the parents. I hope this video was something that added some value to you. Thank you so much for listening, and looking forward to have many more such snippets. Thank you and bye bye.